Howdy, I'm Jace. I have sex addiction and I work with a bunch of other people who do as well. If you are with someone who has sex addiction, should you continue your relationship with them? That is a very legit question, and it's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Before we do, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you'll make sure to get these videos and click that little bell button so it'll alert you when new ones come out. It also lets me know to keep making them, that people want this stuff. You can always subscribe to my newsletter to stay in the loop with other things going on. And today, our free resource at the end of the video is specifically for partners. So make sure to hang out after so you can get that free resource if you are a partner of someone with sex addiction, which is what today's video is all about. So if that's the case, if you are a partner of someone who has sex addiction, is it a good idea to stay with them? Obviously, that super depends. Like, I don't know your situation. So I'm going to talk just generally here without knowing the ins and outs of your situation. In 12-step recovery, they say that addiction is cunning and baffling. And that's not true at all. Addiction is embarrassingly cliche. It is the same story, different day. Maybe a different cover on the book, but that book's got the same contents. It's one of the hardest things that I had to cope with when I started recovery. I thought I was so unique, that my story was so unique and no one would ever understand it or comprehend it or experience it or be compassionate with it, because I thought it was so out there. I was humiliated and really upset when I found out that wasn't the case, and then really delighted, because then I'm like, oh, if I'm not that different, then, these solutions can be beneficial for me as well. So there are a lot of commonalities because it is not unique, because it's just a dysfunction of the brain that results in these behaviors. And because it comes from pretty consistently the same places, it's kind of easy to predict what will happen. That being said, that it depends on your situation, and I don't know your situation, and addiction is really predictable, here are my thoughts on whether or not partners should stay with people with sex addiction. If the person is in active addiction with no desire to stop and no intention of stopping, then no, there's nothing for you there. Yeah, but he or she is this, or we've been together, whatever. No. This isn't just a set of behaviors. This isn't deviant behavior or a weak will or, moral ambiguity or anything like that. Where addiction is an actual thing, and sex as an area of addiction is no different. Because it's an actual thing, and it's an actual thing in the brain and in the body, certain things are going to happen. Now, this is wired into the survival system, which means it's going to take top priority. Now, that might not be entirely true at one point, but this is progressive. It's actually changing the chemistry of the brain, a brain that's already altered, usually in early life. So we're already talking about a brain that's not developed properly. And you can read more about that, or you can watch more about that in the Is sex addiction just an excuse for bad behavior, as well as Is sex addiction real? But it is progressive because it's running this cycle in the brain. The brain will change to accommodate the cycle, which means it's only going to get worse. The longer someone stays active in addiction, the more of a priority it becomes. Not because it gets cooler or funner. No, it does not. But because of what's happening in the brain. So if the person you're with is in active addiction and they have no signs of stopping and no desire to, there's nothing you can do to alter it. Having the desire to change is required for change. Someone else having a really strong desire for you to change is not part of the equation. There's going to be harm that comes to you, not because the person with addiction is a bad person, not because they're a shitty man or woman. No, it's just the nature of addiction. And because it's tied into that survival system, it will trump you. every time. Not because you're not amazing, not because they don't love you, not because you're not good enough or you show up well enough or you're sexy enough. It has nothing to do with you. Zero, nothing. There's nothing someone can do to become the priority over active addiction when it's already in that space of life or death. And of course, we know it's not actual life or death, but the brain perceives it that way. I mean, we're talking about people who, as parents, choose to be active in addiction over their children. My dad did. And like that's our strongest instinct, is to protect our children, right? If it can trump that, it's going to trump everything else. It's just going to take priority. And unless the person begins a healing path for that, it's going to win every time. And there's only going to be harm, which you do not deserve. I don't care who they are. I don't care who you are. None of us deserves harm. So if that's the case, and you're not seeing any signs of he or she wanting to alter that path, yeah, I would say it's probably will be in best service to your highest good to distance yourself from that person. The truth is that in active addiction, we are harmful. I so wish that wasn't part of my past. I had so much love for people and I treated them terribly. Not because I wasn't a good person and not because I didn't love them. I did and do. I just had a misfunction of the brain, which no is not an excuse. It's just an explanation. Now, if you are with someone and they have sex addiction and they do not want to be active in sex addiction and they want to walk that healing path, that path of recovery, holistically, and by holistically, I mean healing all of it, not just treating the symptoms, but actually treating what's underlying it. And please note, addiction is a symptom. It's not the problem. I know it's problematic and it's probably one of your problems with this person, but it's not the problem. It's just a symptom. So if someone's just going to treat the symptom, I'm going to spoiler alert it for you. They're going to treat it for the rest of their life. And this is always going to be present in your relationship and in their life. And it's going to be a super big bummer and it's going to be really frustrating. And all this effort's going to be put in for very small gains. However, if they are willing to treat it holistically, now I'm talking not just the roots and the leaves and the branches, but getting down to, not just the fruit and the leaves and the branches, but really getting down to the roots. And they're going to do the work to heal everything from the ground up. If they're going to take a holistic or self-mastery path to their healing and thriving, hell yes, stay with that person. That is going to be the most exceptional person you ever come across in your entire life. You could meet every human being alive and no one will be stronger or more badass than that person. Somebody who really faces this stuff. And please note, the reason that we react out is because of deep, unbelievable pain, usually generating from trauma in childhood that could not be dealt with. And so a workaround was created that now is not serving in any way and is harmful and weird and gross and painful and all of the things. If someone's willing to stop anesthetizing, so stop cutting off those horrible feelings, and they're actually going to go into those feelings and they're going to look them in the face, if they're going to walk into the dragon den and face that dragon and then befriend the dragon and be best buddies with the dragon, yeah, hang out with that person for sure. That's going to be your favorite person you ever meet. I cannot stress this enough. The reason I do this work with the people I do it with is because they're the most exceptional people I've ever met. We'll do other videos on why that is, on why people with sex addiction are the most exceptional and have the capacity for the greatest, boldest living ever. But let me just tell you, if they're willing to do the work and you're willing to do yours, yeah, for sure, stay with that person. If you are safe to do so and they are showing up in a respectful way that honors how exceptional you are. What did I mean when I said you've got to do your work too? I want to keep this video relatively short, so I'm going to make another video that covers that and gets into that a little bit more so that if you do stay together, or if you don't, you have access to your best and highest self and your boldly satisfying life. So look for that video. It's going to be one right after this one. And speaking of right after, I have a resource just for you. If you're a partner of a person with sex addiction, I want to make sure you have support and information. So that resource is coming up. It's special just for you. I know you've been through a lot already, and you are obviously trying to do your best and make the best of the situation at hand. I know that because you're watching this video and you're thinking about these tough choices and you're looking to care for yourself. And I'm so grateful that you're doing that. Thank you so much for doing that. It makes the world a better place. I'm going to sign off for now. In addition to that gratitude, please know you have my love now and always. Until I see you next time, stay curious. Today's resource is specifically for partners or loved ones of people who have sex addiction, or perhaps you believe that someone in your life has sex addiction. I know for me, when I am in a difficult space and even a space of hurting, information can be really important in helping me understand kind of a broader idea of what's going on. So I want to offer my Introduction to Sex Addiction course to you for free, with the hopes that it will help give some more insight into what's going on with sex addiction and help you recognize that it has nothing to do with you, in case you're feeling that way. It really doesn't. Just to give you an inside look at what's going on when someone does have sex addiction and what some of the options are for that. So you can get that Introduction to Sex Addiction course for free with promo code PARTNERS. And you can find the link for that course in the description below. I hope it can be helpful to you.